I never thought I'd poison the eggnog at my boyfriend's family's Christmas dinner. But when you find out the man you love framed you for his own embezzlement just to climb the corporate ladder, desperation tastes a lot like revenge. It started with a single lie I told to protect him, falsifying a bank statement that snowballed into federal charges hanging over my head like a guillotine. And now, here I was, Zoe Harper, the broke barista from the wrong side of the tracks, playing the part of the pitiful charity case one last time before I burned it all down. The snow was coming down in fat, relentless flakes outside the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Kensington's McMansion in Greenwich, Connecticut, turning the manicured lawn into a blank canvas of white lies. I'd arrived early that Christmas Eve, my beat-up Honda Civic sputtering like it was on its last breath as I pulled into the driveway lined with luxury SUVs that screamed old money. My boyfriend, Ethan Kensington, heir apparent to Kensington Capital, had begged me to come, swearing this dinner was the make-or-break moment with his parents. "They'll love you, Zoe," he'd said over the phone, his voice all honey and false promises. "Just be yourself. The real you. The real me?"
Huh.
The real me was the girl who dropped out of community college after her mom OD'd on fentanyl in a shitty motel room. The one slinging lattes at a Starbucks in Stanford to pay off student loans that felt like shackles. The real me had fallen for Ethan's Ivy League charm 2 years ago at a charity gala where he was the golden boy schmoozing donors. And I'd been the volunteer passing out hors d'oeuvres. But the real me also knew secrets that could topple empires. Like how Ethan had siphoned $2 million from his family's firm and pinned it on me, his trustworthy girlfriend from the blue-collar brigade. I stepped out of the car, my thrift store coat dusted with snow, and tugged at the hem of my faded jeans. No makeup, no heels, just scuffed boots and a ponytail that screamed, "I can't afford a salon." Ethan had coached me on this act months ago. Play up the poverty to win their sympathy. Make them see me as the plucky underdog who needed their help to rise above. It was his twisted way of laundering his guilt, turning me into the human shield for his crimes. Act poor. "Baby," he'd whispered during our last fight, his breath reeking of scotch. "It'll make the gift from them hit harder. They'll eat it up." The front door swung open before I could knock. And there was Mrs. Kensington Lillian, all pearls and Botox, her smile as brittle as the icicles dangling from the eaves. "Zoe, darling, come in from the cold. Ethan said you'd be arriving soon." Her eyes flicked over my outfit like I'd tracked mud across her imported Persian rug. Behind her, Mr. Kensington Charles, the silver-haired patriarch of Kensington Capital, loomed in a cashmere sweater, nursing a tumbler of bourbon. He grunted a hello, but his gaze was appraising, like I was a stock tip gone sour. The house smelled of roasting turkey and pine from the 15-foot Fraser fir in the foyer, decked out with ornaments that probably cost more than my annual rent. Crystal garlands twinkled under recessed lighting, and a Steinway grand piano sat silent in the corner, waiting for some holiday recital that I'd never be invited to. Ethan emerged from the study, all crisp button-down and easy grin, pulling me into a hug that felt more performative than passionate. "You made it," he murmured into my hair, his fingers digging into my back a little too hard, a warning, maybe. Or just the ghost of our unraveling. Dinner was set for 6, us, the parents, Ethan's younger sister Amelia, the golden child, fresh from Yale Law, and her fiancé, some bland hedge fund bro named Tyler. The table groaned under Wedgwood china and silver that gleamed like accusations. I took my seat at the far end, opposite Lillian, who was already cooing over the menu sheet had catered from some Michelin-starred spot in Manhattan. "Zoe,
Dear."
Do try the foie gras. It's divine. Ethan tells us you're passionate about coffee? How quaint.
Quaint.
The word landed like a slap. But I swallowed it with a sip of the Cabernet they'd poured. 82 Bordeaux. The kind of vintage that whispered, "We're better than you." Ethan shot me a look, "Play nice." So I did. I regaled them with tales of my humble beginnings, embellishing just enough to tug at their liberal guilt. Grew up in Bridgeport. You know, Dad split when I was 5. Mom worked doubles at the diner. Christmas was always canned ham and a Charlie Brown tree from the discount lot. Lies wrapped in half-truths. Because the real story, the one where Mom's diner shifts funded her pill habit until she swallowed a bottle of Xanax with cheap vodka, would have shattered their sanitized worldview. Charles chuckled, swirling his glass. Bridgeport.
Tough town.
But look at you now, clawing your way up. Ethan's always had a soft spot for projects. The table tittered politely. Amelia's laughed the sharpest, like glass breaking. Tyler nodded along, oblivious, forking into his escargot. Ethan squeezed my knee under the table, his touch electric with unspoken threats. Don't fuck this up. As the main course hit, turkey carved tableside, stuffing studded with truffles, I felt the weight of the flash drive burning a hole in my bra. It held the proof, emails, ledgers, wire transfers showing how Ethan had doctored the books, routing funds through shell accounts I'd unknowingly helped set up under duress. For us, Zoe, he'd begged back then, his eyes wide with that boyish plea. To start fresh. Away from all this. I'd believed him. Forged the docs. And now the FBI had my name on a subpoena because his IT guy, loyal to the Kensingtons, had traced it back to my IP. Betrayal didn't get deeper than that. The man I loved sacrificing me to save his inheritance. But tonight wasn't about confession.
It was about the act.
I let my fork clatter against the plate a little too loudly, feigning wide-eyed awe at the crystal stemware.
Gosh.
This is fancy. Back home, we used the good plastic ones for Thanksgiving. Lillian's lips thinned, but she patted my hand.
Oh.
Sweetie. We admire your grit. That's why Charles and I have a little something for you, a holiday surprise to help with your situation. The charity gift. Ethan's masterstroke. He planted the idea weeks ago, whispering to his parents about my struggles, painting me as the damsel in distress who needed a leg up. In reality, it was his way of buying my silence. A $50,000 check funneled through their foundation to make the feds think I was clean, unconnected. I nodded eagerly, playing the part, my voice thick with manufactured gratitude. You guys are too kind. I don't know what I'd do without Ethan.
Or y'all.
Amelia rolled her eyes, but Charles beamed, signaling the maid, discreetly Filipino, underpaid, invisible, to fetch the envelope from the sideboard. It arrived on a silver tray, crisp and official, stamped with the Kensington Family Foundation logo. Open it, Zoe, Lillian urged, her smile all teeth. It's our way of saying welcome to the family. My hands trembled, not from nerves, but from the rage simmering beneath. I slit the seal with a butter knife, pulling out the check and a letter on heavy stock. The amount hit me first, $50,000, payable to Zoe Harper, for educational advancement. But it was the fine print that ignited the fuse, the conditions. Strings attached like barbed wire, non-disclosure agreements, quarterly progress reports to the foundation, and a clause binding me to Kensington Capital as an intern for 2 years, effectively indenturing me to their empire. And then the letter.
God.
The letter. It started benign, "Dear Zoe, in the spirit of giving back." But buried in paragraph 3, like a venomous footnote, was the exposure. "We are heartened by your commitment to ethical practices, especially in light of recent audits at our firm. Your discretion in past matters has not gone unnoticed." Discretion? That was code for the forgery I'd done for Ethan. They knew. Charles and Lillian weren't just enablers, they were architects, covering for their son's sins by dangling this carrot, knowing I'd bite to keep my record clean. The room blurred. Ethan's foot nudged mine, smile. Damn it, but I couldn't. Not anymore. This is generous, I managed, my voice cracking like thin ice. Amelia leaned in, curious. "Everything okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." I set the envelope down slowly, my mind racing through the plan I'd hatched in the dead of night, alone in my studio apartment while Ethan slept off another bender in his penthouse. Revenge wasn't an outburst, it was a slow bleed. I'd hacked into the Foundation's donor database, Child's Play with a library computer and a VPN, uncovering their dirtiest secret, millions laundered not just through Ethan's schemes, but back to Charles's offshore accounts in the Caymans, tied to bribes for zoning approvals on their latest development in the Bronx. Gentrification dressed as philanthropy, displacing families like mine while they patted themselves on the back. "This means the world," I said, forcing a tear real enough, fueled by 2 years of gaslighting. "But I can't accept it. Not without telling you the truth." The table fell silent, forks hovering. Ethan's face drained of color. "Zoe." "What?" I pulled the flash drive from my bra, sliding it across the linen like a loaded gun. "Plug this into your laptop." "Charles." "It's got everything, the transfers, the emails, the Cayman logs." Ethan's not the only one who's been playing God with other people's lives. Gasps rippled, Lillian's hand to her throat, Amelia's eyes widening in horror. Tyler just blinked, mouth agape. "You bitch," Ethan hissed, low enough for only me to hear. But Charles was already rising, snatching the drive like it was radioactive. "What the hell is this?" "The end," I whispered back, my heart pounding with a mix of terror and triumph. "Of your perfect little charade." But as Charles stormed to the study, laptop in hand, I knew this was just the opening salvo. The real storm was brewing, and by dawn, the Kensington Empire would be ash, or I'd be the one buried under it. Revenge, after all, is a dish best served cold, but in a house full of wolves. Who ends up with the scars? The study door slammed behind Charles, echoing through the dining room like a judge's gavel. Lillian fluttered after him, her heels clicking on the hardwood, murmuring, "Darling, wait, it's probably nothing," but her voice cracked, betraying the fracture lines in their facade. Amelia shot to her feet, chair scraping back. "Zoe, what did you do? This is Christmas. For God's sake." Tyler, ever the peacemaker, reached for the wine bottle. "Maybe we should all just..." "Shut up, Tyler," Amelia snapped, her Yale polish cracking. She turned on me, eyes blazing. "You've always been a gold digger, haven't you? Playing the poor girl card to worm your way in. Ethan warned us you were unstable." Unstable. The word stung, but it was fuel. I'd spent months piecing together the puzzle, Ethan's late-night calls to his father, the consultations about risk management. Turns out, the embezzlement wasn't a solo act. Charles had greenlit it, using the funds to bail out a bad real estate bet in Florida. And me? I was the fall guy. The disposable girlfriend whose backstory made her the perfect patsy. Petty theft on my juvenile record from shoplifting formula for my baby sister back in high school. Ethan had twisted that into my profile, feeding it to the lawyers. Ethan lunged across the table, grabbing my wrist hard enough to bruise. Give me that back. You don't know what you're doing. His breath was hot, scotch-laced, eyes wild with the cornered animal gleam I'd seen once before, when the feds first knocked on my door. I yanked free, the check crumpling in my fist. I know exactly what I'm doing. You think a pity payout erases framing me for your crimes? 2 years. Ethan. 2 years of looking over my shoulder, wondering if I'd end up in Danbury for your screw-up. The study door flew open. Charles stood there, face ashen, the laptop screen glowing behind him like a portal to hell. Lillian. In here.
Now.
It wasn't a request. She scurried past, and the door clicked shut again, leaving us in suspended animation. Amelia paced, phone in hand, thumbs flying, probably texting her trust fund friends for damage control. Tyler poured himself another glass, muttering about family drama. And Ethan. He deflated, slumping back into his chair, rubbing his temples.
Zoe.
Please. We can fix this. Marry me. Make it official. They'll back off. Marry him? The audacity. Flashbacks hit. Our first date at that rooftop bar in NYC. Him quoting Kerouac like he understood the road less traveled. The night he proposed we invest together, handing me the login to the offshore app, the morning after the audit. When he blamed me for the discrepancies, his voice cold as the Hudson in winter. You signed off.
Zoe.
It's on you. No, I said, voice steady for the first time that night. I'm done being your prop. Done acting poor, so you can feel like a savior. This gift. I waved the envelope. It's blood money. For the families you displaced in the Bronx. The ones evicted, so you could build your luxury condos. I talked to Maria Ruiz last week, the single mom whose kids are couch surfing because of your development. She recognized your name from the eviction notice. Amelia froze. The Bronx?
That's
philanthropy. Dad's foundation rebuilt that block. Rebuilt it for yuppies, I shot back. Maria's block? Bulldozed. Her photos are on that drive too, before and after. Ghosts of your progress. Ethan's phone buzzed, text from his father. No doubt. What the fuck? Son? He ignored it, leaning in close. You're ruining everything. For what? Some liberal guilt trip? You're no better than us.
Zoe.
You forged those docs. You're in it up to your neck. He wasn't wrong. That was the twist of the knife, the moral quicksand. I'd chosen to help him, blinded by love or desperation or whatever cocktail of bullshit we'd brewed. But knowing didn't absolve them. It just made the revenge sweeter, murkier. The study door opened again, spilling golden light. Charles emerged first, eyes like chips of flint. Lillian trailed, mascara streaked, clutching her pearls like a rosary. Zoe, Charles said, voice low thunder. You've made a grave mistake. Grave? I laughed. Bitter. Like falsifying audits? Or bribing inspectors? It's all there. Charles. Timestamps. IP traces. Even your emails to that Cayman banker. Handle the Harper loose end. Lillian gasped. You spied on us? I survived you. Charles crossed to the table, looming over me. You think this changes anything? One flash drive? We own half the judges in Fairfield County. This exposé is a rounding error. But doubt flickered in his eyes. The first crack. Ethan stood, inserting himself.
Dad.
She's bluffing. I can. Sit down.
Boy.
Charles's bark silenced him. He turned back to me, calculating.
What do you want?
Money? More than that check. Name it. The offer hung there.
Tempting.
50 grand was rent for years. $1 million could be escape. But revenge wasn't a transaction. It was erasure. I want you to confess, I said. Publicly. Tomorrow, at the Foundation's holiday gala. Admit the laundering, the bribes, Ethan's role. Or I hit send on the copies I emailed to the Journal and the FBI tip line this morning. Bluff, half. The emails were drafted, queued, but unsent. Insurance against a night like this. Amelia snorted. You're insane. Blackmail at Christmas? Classy. Classy? I wheeled on her. Like mocking the help? Or ignoring the audit warnings because family first? You're all complicit. The room pulsed with tension, snow muffling the world outside. Lillian collapsed into her chair, whispering, This can't be happening. Not on his birthday. Charles's phone rang, unknown number. He answered, listened, face hardening. Yes. Agent Ramirez. She's here. Understood. He hung up, staring at me. Feds are en route. Your IP's flagged from those drafts. Seems you tripped your own wire. Ice in my veins. Ethan smirked, vindicated. But then Charles added, soft as sin. They want you first. For the forgery.
But.
Perhaps we can negotiate. The twist hit like a freight train. Charles wasn't calling their bluff. He was flipping the script, offering alliance against the feds in exchange for my silence on his bigger sins. Ethan, betrayed by his own father,
Gaped. Dad.
Survival. Son. Always survival. I stood, chair toppling. Sides weren't clear anymore. We were all monsters in the mirror. Run, fight, or join the pack. As sirens wailed distant in the snow, I grabbed the check, tore it in half. Merry Christmas. Kensington's. Let's see who bleeds first. The sirens grew louder, slicing through the holiday hush like accusations. Red and blue lights danced on the snow-draped windows, turning the Kensington's perfect world into a disco of doom. Ethan bolted upright, color returning in splotches. Zoe. You idiot, what did you do? But his voice cracked, boyish panic under the bluster. And, for a split second, I saw the kid he'd been before the boardrooms and betrayals, the one who'd cried in my arms after his first deal soured, promising we'd run away to Portland, start a microbrewery with craft IPAs named after lost dreams. Charles moved like a chess master, pocketing the flash drive and snapping the laptop shut. Lillian. Amelia, upstairs. Guest wing. Tyler. Secure the liquor cabinet. We don't need sloshed witnesses. His commands were crisp, honed from decades of crisis aversion, market crashes, divorces hushed with NDAs. That yacht scandal in '09 with the underage intern his partner took the fall for. Lillian obeyed, her face a mask of wasp stoicism, but her hands shook as she gathered the silverware, as if tidying could erase the chaos. Amelia hesitated, glaring daggers. This is on you.
Zoe.
Ruining Christmas for some vendetta? You're trash. Tyler tugged her arm. murmuring about lawyers. But she shrugged him off, storming after her mother. Ethan rounded on me, fists clenched. We had a plan. The gift. The marriage. Your plan, I cut in, voice low to keep the hysterics at bay. To keep me muzzled while you all skate. I bore the forgery rap for you. Ethan. Sign my name so you could play Robin Hood with Daddy's dirty money. And for what? To fund your escape fund while I dodged subpoenas. He flinched, but the front door pounded, 3 sharp raps that vibrated the chandelier. FBI. Open up. Charles straightened his sweater, glancing at me with something almost like respect. Or pity. Last chance.
Girl.
Join us. Or rot. Join them. The offer slithered in, seductive in its cynicism. Spill on the Fed's weak spots. Maybe that Agent Ramirez had a gambling debt I'd Googled last week, and I'd walk with immunity. A cut of the pie. But it meant burying Maria Ruiz's story. The evictions. The kids in shelters. Meant becoming them, mired in the mud, clawing higher on broken backs. No deal, I said, chin up as Charles swung the door wide. 2 agents stormed in, badges glinting. Ramirez, a no-nonsense Latina in her 40s with a ponytail tight as her bun, and her partner, a lanky white guy named Kowalski. All Adam's apple and suspicion. Snow melted on their coats, pooling on the foyer rug. Charles Kensington? Ramirez barked, eyes scanning the room. We have a warrant for electronic devices and financial records. Step aside. Charles complied with exaggerated calm, hands raised like a surrender that wasn't.
Agents. Coffee?
It's fresh, Starbucks pods. Imported. Kowalski snorted. But Ramirez zeroed in on me. Zoe Harper, you're coming with us. Obstruction of justice. Forgery. Nice work on those drafts. Timestamped from your VPN. Ethan stepped forward. All charm offensive. Officers, there's been a misunderstanding. Zoe's family. Save it, Ramirez snapped. We traced the Cayman pings to this IP. Your little holiday hackathon ends now. Cuffs clicked around my wrists, cold metal biting skin. As Kowalski recited rights I knew by heart from binge-watching The Wire and Lonely Nights. Ethan watched, silent now, his betrayal complete, not just of me, but of himself, ceding control to the old man. Charles murmured to Ramirez off mic. Something about donations to the Bureau's holiday fund, but she shut him down with a glare. Bribe attempts on record. Mr.
K.
Digging your own grave. They marched me out, past the turkey carcass and toppled chair, into the blizzard. Flakes stung my face like tiny indictments, the cruiser idling with exhaust clouds that smelled of diesel and finality. In the back seat, zip-tied and shivering, I caught a glimpse of the family tableau through the frosted glass, Lillian wringing her hands. Amelia on her phone live-tweeting the invasion for sympathy likes. Tyler cracking open that bourbon. And Ethan, meeting my eyes one last time, pleading, hateful, it blurred in the swirl. The precinct in Stamford was a fluorescent purgatory, all buzzing lights and coffee that tasted like regret. They processed me in a holding cell that reeked of bleach and despair. Fingerprints smudged on a scanner that beeped like a death knell. Ramirez hauled me into interrogation at 2 a.m., the clock ticking past midnight into the hollow of Christmas Day. No tree here. No carols, just a metal table. A one-way mirror. And her across from me, notepad poised. Talk. Harper, she said. No preamble. We got your drafts. The Kensington ledgers. You planning to leak? I leaned back. Cuffs clinking. Depends. You cuffing me for clicking send, or for what they did? She tapped her pen. Assessing.
Both.
But start with the forgery. Your sig on those transfers, March 23. Ring any bells. Every bell.
Clanging.
I'd done it in Ethan's office. Late. After a bottle of Pinot and promises of forever. He said it was temporary. To fix a glitch. Next thing. I'm the glitch. Ramirez's eyes softened a fraction, not pity, but recognition. Classic. Rich boy. Poor girl.
But you signed.
Complicit. Complicit, I echoed. The word acid on my tongue. Like how the Kensingtons donated to community centers while bulldozing them, or Charles's emails to his fixer. Neutralize the Harper variable? She slid a file across, printouts from my drive. Already seized. We pulled the metadata. It's damning. Embezzlement. Money laundering. Bribery. But if you're flipping, we need more. Witnesses. The Ruiz woman, Maria, I corrected. Single mom. 3 kids. Lost her apartment to Kensington revitalization. I have her affidavit. Emailed to myself before the VPN snag. Ramirez nodded, jotting.
Good.
We cut a deal. You walk on the forgery. Testify against them. The door banged open, Kowalski. Face grim. Boss. Lawyers are here. Kensington's team. Want Harper in a lineup. Already. Ramirez cursed under her breath. Stall him. Coffee run. But as Kowalski left, my phone, bagged on the table, lit up with a text from an unknown number. Play ball.
Zoe.
Or mom's old dealer gets your sister's address. E-blackmail. Ethan's flip. Align with the family machine. My baby sister, Lila, 16 and fresh out of juvie for boosting a car, collateral I'd never considered. Change of plans, I told Ramirez. Voice steal. No deal. I go home. She laughed.
Sharp.
You think you can lawyer up now? You're in the deep end. Deeper than she knew. Back in holding. I paced the 6 steps. Mind spinning escape hatches. Dawn crept gray through the barred window. Christmas morning mocking with distant church bells. A guard-wrapped visitor. Not Ethan. Not Charles. Amelia. She sat in the booth. All cashmere and contempt. Plexiglass between us. Pathetic, she sneered into the intercom. Dragging us down. Dad's furious, says you're a liability. Ethan's. Disappointed. Disappointed. I pressed the receiver. Close enough to fog it. Like when he proposed using my identity for a shell company. Or when you laughed off the audit. Calling it Dad's problem? Her poise slipped, eyes darting. You don't get it. Family protects family. You're not. Blood. I finished.
No.
But I know your secret. Mills. That study abroad semester in Paris? Not sorority shit. The clinic receipts in the drive, abortion, hush money from Tyler's trust. He doesn't know. Does he? She paled. Hand to her throat. Lillian's echo. You wouldn't. Wouldn't what? Expose how the perfect Kensington daughter terminated a pregnancy from some French tutor. Then gaslit Tyler into thinking you were pure? One call to him. And your wedding's confetti. Amelia leaned in. Voice venom.
Bitch. Fine.
Walk away. But if you testify, I leak Lila's juvie file to every college admissions board. She's got dreams.
Right?
Nursing school. More strings. The Kensington Web.
Sticky as sin.
I hung up, slamming the receiver, as guards hauled me for arraignment. The courthouse loomed, a squat brick beast in the slush. Reporters already sniffing blood, leaks from Charles's camp, painting me as the unstable ex with a grudge. But in the holding van, rattling toward the hearing, my burner phone smuggled in my boot, a gift from Maria's network of displaced moms, vibrated. Text from her, galas today. We're crashing. Bronx rising. You're not alone. Hope flickered. Fragile. The arraignment was a blur. Bail set at $100K I didn't have. Judge, a Kensington donor, denying release. Back to lockup, where whispers of snitch echoed from the other women, eyes hard from their own betrayals. Night fell, Christmas fading into Boxing Day gray. Ethan visited then, alone, shadows under his eyes. Zoe.
Stop this.
I love you. We can love. I spat through the glass. You framed me. Your dad offered alliance. Amelia threatened Lila. What's left?
He swallowed.
Adam's apple bobbing.
Me.
The real me. Remember Portland? We can still. Liar. But doubt wormed in. Was revenge worth the cage? Or was flipping the final betrayal of myself? Then Ramirez slipped in. Off book.
Gala's starting.
Bronx crews outside, protesters. Signs. The works. Leaks live. Anonymous drop to ProPublica. Your drafts hit the wire. Chaos. Ethan's phone exploded with alerts. He stared, then at me, hate blooming. You did this. We did. I corrected. Your house of cards. As shouts rose from the street, Kensington's out. Justice for the Bronx. I smiled. Small victory in the gloom. But the twist lingered, in crumbling their world. Had I saved mine? Or just traded one prison for another? The protests swelled like a tide, chants filtering through the cell block vents. No justice. No peace. Kensington's thieves. I press my ear to the cold metal, heart sinking to the rhythm. A drumbeat of the displaced finally rising. Maria's network, moms like her, organizing via WhatsApp chains born in eviction court waiting rooms, had turned my flash drive into a Molotov. Not fire, but words, exposés hitting Twitter. TikTok testimonials from families who'd lost homes to Charles's revitalization scams. Bronx Rising trended. Memes of Ethan's smug gala face photoshopped with devil horns. Ramirez returned at midnight. Eyes tired but alight. It's unraveling. Charles's stock dipped 15% after hours. Feds raided the offices, found the Cayman server. Your testimony's gold now. Bails posted by a civil rights group. Freedom tasted like stale air as they uncuffed me. The precinct emptying into the witching hour.
Outside.
Snow turned to sleet. Protesters milling under floodlights, signs dripping. Charity or crime. Kensington lies. Maria spotted me first, enveloping me in a hug that smelled of cheap vanilla lotion and resolve.
Mia.
You started it. We finish. Her crew, a dozen women, fierce in puffy coats and work boots, faces etched by loss but lit with purpose. The gala, Maria said. They're there. Preening. We crash. Make M choke on caviar and truth. The drive to the Stamford Yacht Club was a blur of side eyes from cabbies recognizing my mug from the news ticker. Ethan had texted nonstop, "Stop this madness." Meet me.
Love you.
Deleted. Each one. Love was the first lie. Betrayal the chaser. The club loomed on Long Island Sound, a colonial relic strung with white lights. Valets in tuxes scurrying like rats from a sinking ship. Protesters ringed the perimeter, bullhorns blaring. But security, Kensington hired muscle, held the line. I slipped through a service gate with Maria's group. Catering uniforms borrowed from a sympathetic chef inside. "Act natural," she whispered. "We're the help. Remember?" Inside. The gala hummed, black ties and gowns swirling under chandeliers that dripped like stalactites of wealth. The Kensington Foundation banner dominated, giving back. Building forward, irony thick as the lobster bisque. Charles held court near the podium. Schmoozing donors. Lillian at his side in emerald silk. Amelia and Tyler orbiting like moons. Ethan scanned the crowd. Phone glued to his ear. Probably lawyering up damage control. We fanned out, trays of champagne flutes as props, whispers rippling. "That's her." The girlfriend. Eyes followed. Murmurs building. Maria nodded. It was time. She accidentally bumped a waiter, sending shrimp cocktails flying toward a cluster of suits. Chaos erupted, splatters, curses, and in the diversion, I mounted the stage steps, mic in hand from the forgotten podium. "Ladies and gentlemen," I boomed, feedback squealing. "Philanthropists and thieves, welcome to the unmasking." Gasps cascaded. Charles whirled. Face thunder. Security. Ethan pushed through. Eyes wild. "Zoe, get down." But the room was frozen. Phones out. Live streaming. 2 years ago, I continued, voice steady as the sleet outside. I signed my life away for a man who promised the world. Ethan Kensington. But it wasn't love, it was leverage. He framed me for $2 million in embezzlement to cover his father's bad bets. And this foundation? It's a front. Bribes for Bronx evictions. Laundered cash to Cayman banks. Ask Maria Ruiz. Her family's one of dozens you displaced for condos that rent for what she made in a year. Slides flickered. Hacked projector from Maria's tech-savvy niece. Photos of gutted row houses. Eviction tears. Charles's emails glowing, incriminating. The crowd fractured, donors edging away. A socialite fainting into canapes. Amelia shrieked. "Lies. She's deranged." Deranged? I laughed into the mic. Or done protecting monsters. Check your programs. Folks, appendix has links. Bronx rising. Sirens wailed again, real ones. Feds crashing the party. Ramirez led the charge. Cuffs at ready. Charles bolted for a side exit, but protesters blocked it, chants swelling. Ethan reached the stage, grabbing my arm.
Why?
We could've. Could've what? Married into this rot. I wrenched free. You chose them. I choose me. He staggered back as agents swarmed. Ramirez cuffing him first. Irony's kiss. Ethan Kensington. You're under arrest for fraud. Charles next. Sputtering legalese. Lillian collapsed. Amelia wailing to Tyler, who backed away, horror-struck. In the melee, Maria pulled me down. Safe. You did it, Zoe. But as blue lights bathed the sound, Ethan locked eyes with me through the scrum. Not hate, but shattering. I loved you, he mouthed.
Loved.
Past tense. The twist. In destroying them, I'd glimpsed my own complicity, the forgery's stain indelible. Victory tasted bittersweet, a Pyrrhic feast. As dawn broke, gray and unforgiving, I walked into the sleet, free but fractured. Was it justice? Or just another cycle of revenge? Waiting to loop back, reporters swarmed the curb, mics thrusting like spears. MS. Harper. Motive?
Regrets.
Maria shielded me, herding us to a waiting van, community-funded, wheels humming with escape. Inside, the women cheered, passing thermoses of spiked cocoa. But I stared out at the yacht club receding, a lit-up tomb for the Kensington myth. Back in Bridgeport, my studio waited cold, cluttered with eviction notices of my own. Lila's latest school report card taped to the fridge like a talisman. She greeted me at dawn, eyes wide from the news alerts. "Sis, you're famous." "That guy, Ethan? He was bad news." "Right? Worse," I said, hugging her tight, bones sharp under her hoodie. "But we're good now." "Promise." Lila nodded, too young for the full weight, but old enough for scars. We crashed on the futon, TV flickering recaps. Kensington Empire crumbles in scandal. Arrests, resignations. The foundation shuttered pending investigation. Donors fleeing like rats. Bronx Rising birthing lawsuits. Reparations funds. But sleep evaded. Ghosts whispering. Ethan's face in cuffs. Charles's calculating gaze. Amelia's venom. And me, the architect of the fall. Hands not clean. The feds called mid-morning. Deal sweetened. No charges if I testified. Ramirez's voice crackled. "You're clear, Harper." "Hero." "Even." "Hero." The word chafed. I hung up, scrolling emails, offers from podcasters, book agents, a Netflix true crime pitch. Tempting, but hollow. Revenge had hollowed me too, leaving a void where trust used to be. Afternoon brought Maria, bearing tamales and news, the Bronx block saved, community buyback in motion. "You're doing," she said, eyes shining. "We rebuild."
Mia.
Together. I nodded, warmth cracking the ice. But evening, as Lila decorated our tree, a potted ficus with string lights, the doorbell buzzed. Unknown delivery, a box. No sender. Inside, half the torn charity check, taped with a note in Ethan scrawl, "You win." But was it worth it? Portland still waits.
E.
Jail mail? Smuggled? My pulse raced. Worth it? The empire crumbled. Yes, stocks tanked. Headlines howled. Reparations flowed. But the twists gnawed. In toppling them, I'd glimpsed the mirror. My forgery enabled it all. Revenge just balanced the scales, not erased the tilt. I burned the note. Check 2. Ashes swirling in the sink. Lila called from the living room. "Zoe? News says the Kensingtons are posting bail." "Big. Let 'em," I murmured, joining her. The screen showed Charles, stone-faced, vowing vindication.
Ethan.
Beside him, met the camera, a flicker of our old spark? Or calculation anew. As fireworks popped distant, late New Year's echoes, I pulled Lila close. Happy ending? Tragic? Neither. Just life. Messy and American, where revenge leaves you standing, but never unscathed. And in the quiet, I wondered, if they rose again, would I fight or finally run to Portland? Alone?
Debate that.
World. I already have. Months blurred into a haze of depositions and daylight hours in courtrooms that smelled of polished oak and stale ambition. The Kensington trial became Stamford's spectacle, tabloids dubbing it Holly Jolly Heist, cable news panels dissecting my rags to rage, arc like a bad Lifetime movie. I testified in a borrowed blazer from Maria's thrift haul, voice steady as I laid bare the ledgers. The lies. The love turned lethal. Ethan's eyes bored into me from the defense table. Not pleading now, but probing, searching for weakness. Or maybe forgiveness I'd never grant. Charles played the elder statesman. Suit impeccable, spinning yarns of oversights and fervent philanthropy. His lawyers, Shark Tank of Ivy alums, painted me as the vengeful harpy, dredging my juvie record, Mom's obituary, even Lila's school absences. A troubled young woman with a history of instability, they intoned, as if poverty were a personality flaw. Amelia took the stand, tear-streaked, swearing Ethan's affection blinded him to my manipulations. Tyler backed her, voice quavering, clueless to her Paris secret, which I held like a grenade, unpinned. But the evidence was a tidal wave, wire logs, witness affidavits from evicted families, even a whistleblower from the foundation's accounting firm, spooked by the protests. Ramirez grilled Ethan on cross. You pinned $2 million on MS. Harper because? He shifted, collar tight. She volunteered. Said it was our future. Future built on fraud, she pressed. And the charity gift, a bribe to silence her, objection sustained. But the seed rooted in the jury, 12 strangers. A mix of bridge and tunnel commuters and white-collar drones. Their faces masks of judgment. Verdict day dawned muggy. Spring teasing winter's end. Court packed, Maria's crew in the gallery. Signs furled, but spirits fierce. Lila squeezed my hand, her nails bitten to nubs. They're going down. Right? Right. I lied. Stomach nodded. The foreman rose, reading charges like a death sentence, guilty on all counts: embezzlement, laundering, bribery. Charles's face cracked, Lillian fainting into Amelia's arms.
Ethan.
He looked at me, not shock, but resignation. As cuffs clicked anew, he mouthed, Portland? The gavel fell, and the room erupted. Cheers from the back, sobs from the front. Reparations ordered. $10 million to Bronx victims. Foundation dissolved. I slipped out amid the crush, Lila chattering about frozen yogurt, but Maria pulled me aside. It's over.
Zoe.
You free.
Free.
The word echoed hollow. Bail had kept them out pending appeals.
But now?
Sentences loomed. 15 for Charles. 8 for Ethan. House arrest for Lillian and Amelia on lesser counts. Tyler bailed. Wedding off, her secret leaked anonymously. Courtesy of my burner. Summer scorched in. Bridgeport baking under haze. I landed a gig, community organizer for a housing nonprofit. Salary modest but meaning thick. Lila thrived. Acing chem. Dreaming RN. Nights.
Though.
The what-ifs clawed. Ethan's text from prison, smuggled via a guard's daughter. Poetic please. I was wrong. But you made me better. Or worse. Miss you.
Delete.
Block. Repeat. Revenge's aftertaste was insomnia. Therapy sessions unpacking the why I'd stayed, why I'd signed, why the act at dinner felt like armor and noose. Fall brought the twist. Unbidden. A letter. Certified. From Ethan's appellate lawyer. Plea for contact. Restitution discussion. I met him in a sterile conference room at Danbury Fed. Ethan, gaunt in khakis. Hair unkempt. The golden boy tarnished. Zoe, he started. Voice rough. I get it. I destroyed us. Us. I echoed. Arms crossed. There was no us. Just your ladder. My rung. He nodded. Eyes down. Guilty. But the drive, you kept copies. Right? For Lila. The Bronx. I stiffened. What about it? Use it. On me. Full exposure. No appeals. I told my lawyer to drop everything. In exchange.
Portland.
After. Laughter bubbled. Incredulous. You're bargaining from a cell? Twist, he said. Faint smile. I flipped on Dad. Gave up the deeper files, came in codes. Politician names. Feds cut my time if you corroborate. Betrayals echo. He'd sold out Charles for leniency. Flipping again. Why tell me? Because you won. Make it total.
Or. Forgive.
We rebuild. Clean. The room spun. Forgive, the boy who'd framed me. Now martyr or cunning? Still scheming parole with my buy-in? Sides blurred anew. Him. Broken or brilliant, me. Avenger or enabler. I stood. Chair scraping. No Portland.
Know us.
But the files? I'll leak em. For Maria. For Mom's ghost. His face fell. Relief? Hurt. Fair. Outside. Autumn leaves swirled. Crimson accusations. I drove to Maria's. Drive in hand, new dirt. Ethan's gift or poison. Upload? Bury? The debate raged internal. Expose fully. Spark wider reform. Or let sleeping wolves lie. Claim peace? That night. Over wine with the crew. I hit send. Headlines exploded anew. Kensington heir confesses deeper corruption. Politicians toppled. Inquiries launched. Lila hugged me. Proud. Sis. But in the quiet. Staring at the ficus. Now a real tree. Tinsel cheap. But ours, I pondered the end. Happy? Charles rotted in white-collar hell. Empire dust. Tragic? Ethan's twist freed him sooner. Maybe. Our shadows entangled forever. Controversial. For sure, was I justice's blade or vengeance's fool? Readers, you decide.
Me?
I choose forward, flawed. Fierce. Finally my own. Portland can wait. Bridgeport's home.